Hi there guys, this is Cassandra. I'm a Riffle in Time. I'm so glad you're here. Today we are doing like a year ahead tarot practice planning. I normally don't do a ton of like goal setting or intention setting in the winter, but this felt really right because one, I saw Maureen's video and I felt very inspired, and two, I am kind of just getting back to my practice and it felt right in my body to start thinking about where I wanted it to go. So this felt like aligned to where I am and what I'm wanting to do right now. And then I can save like the bigger life goal setting for later. We'll get to that later. I have really almost done a VR is the vibe of this. I have like things I want to learn. I have decks, of course decks. I have some that that are new that I want to get to know, some I didn't spend enough time with last year or I want to dive deeper into. I have some chopping block decks. And then I also have some like things about my practice that I want to continue or like recommit to / like actual kind of activities. So we're gonna jump right in. I want to start with the learning because I got a big stack of books here. One of the things I want to do, it was actually within the last couple months, I was asked like what tarot books would be great for me. I've read basic beginner books, but I want to like deepen my knowledge. I want these are the kind of things I'm looking for. And I realized I haven't read a ton of books. I have, other than like guidebooks, like personal guidebooks, but I haven't like sat and like read through a lot. And that felt weird to me, like to think about it really. But the last 5 years has been a pretty big reading slump in general for me, like reading books. And you'll notice that the 5 year kind of line up with the fact that I've had a child for the last 5 years. So he's 5 years old. So that, I mean, I guess that does make sense that I really haven't read since I was pregnant. So I'm hoping that this year I am going to be having some time freed up in the fall. I won't cry on camera, it's fine. He is a big boy now and he is going to be going to like actual kindergarten instead of preschool, so it's like a whole day, so I will have to I'll have more time, but that is also sad. But I'm gonna fill it with lots of things so that I am less sad. So one of the things I want to do is read, and so tarot-wise, I'll move this. Tarot-wise, I have a couple. One, I was really excited to talk about this. I am just getting started, but I love the concept of Lisa's book, and I think this is going to be a really like feel-good, fun one. I love how she puts things just in general. I think this is going to be really brilliant. But I'm going to probably start here. Another one I've talked about before, I've never sat down and read this like front to back, but I use this as a resource a lot. When I want to think about a card in a different way, or say like I'm trying to like write something about, or like anytime I want to go to do more, I come here. And like there's a lot of like really good spreads that I use in here too. But I think this is going to be a really good one to just read through. I think it would be helpful to like actually kind of bite through it. One of the reasons actually this all like kind of started was that question, but I asked out, like a ton of people responded. It's like, what is your favorite books that are maybe not completely beginner, but also not like, too much. And one of the ones that I can't believe I've never read it before actually, because I love Fifth Spirit. I love Charlie, and I think that this is probably an amazing book. Everything they do is amazing, so let's get real. But that I'm really excited about reading that. I think that especially, again, already loving like their creations in general is another one I think I really like. The next one's a big hunky one. I had a couple people suggest this. This is going to be maybe something I have to bite off a little at a time. I don't know. Maybe I'll go crazy one week and I'll just like the first week he's in school, I'll just cry and read this. This is going to be, again, probably like a what is the word I'm looking for? Not as a fast of a read, a little more, I wish I could think of the word I'm thinking of, but I hope you know. It feels a little more dense, maybe. And so I am excited to read it, though, because, and like maybe, again, chunk it off time to time, use it as a reference, what have you, because I had a lot of people who had good things to say about it. And these are kind of my tarot ideas for the year of what I'm going to read. If anything new and exciting comes out, I might add to it, but honestly, let me just drop all my books. I think that's probably going to be at maximum if I get through even that. And then I'm going to add some more learning. So other things that are non-tarot related that I want to start focusing on, I've talked about it for a couple years, that there will become a time where I finally learn astrology. And I'm never going to be like an expert. That's never my intention, but like just having, like just being a good enthusiast is probably where I'm trying to head. Right now, I am like a bystander, it feels like. So I want to know a little more, learn a little more. And this was a deck that I've been saving for this purpose. And actually, I'll show you exactly what my plan is. First, I want to start with following the moon phases more closely and the signs they're moving through. I thought that would be a nice start. Something I'm already interested in, I already know a little bit about, you know? And then this is, again, really basic knowledge, but I do know a little about the signs. But I've been picking and following, so... Sweet babies, I'm so sorry for dropping you. Don't be mad. But, what I've been doing is picking the phase of the moon and, again, the sign. So I'm trying to keep up to date with that. I have like Chani and a few other like apps that I use, making sure I didn't do too much damage to these poor babes. They look good. But I have a couple different apps that I use that help me kind of understand and bite that off. But I also want to start getting into the deck itself. And it has a pretty good chunky monkey guidebook with it that gives you some goods. So I want to start using the guidebook a little more. You already know, like I said, that there are the different phases and the different signs, which I have separated out right now. But there's also things like the ascendant. You have your Saturn return. We have all the planets, Mercury, Jupiter, all these goody yummies, like the different eclipses and placements. There's things like mutable, fixed, cardinal. There are also the elements are in here. Things that I don't really understand yet, like T squared and trine, and I don't know what that is. All of like the numerology's in here, which is really cool. Then we have, square, trine, opposite. We have the houses, feminine and masculine as well. So we have like the first house through. And so these are like big altar size cards, which is also very exciting if you didn't see how huge they were. This is the altar size of the deck. It's called Celestial Bodies if I didn't mention that. But I think this will be a really cool way to start. It's like taking something I already love, which is cards, and kind of like taking little biteable things. Another thing, I actually got this book. There was one year I thought I was going to start learning and I got like my, like a personal, like, for my sign for the year from Chani. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like almost like a guide for the year. But I also bought this book when I did it, and it's about your birth chart. And you were born for this. Astrology for Radical Self-Acceptance. And I thought this would be a cool book to kind of read. It's a little shorter, smaller, and bite size again. Like I don't want to get into something too heavy. Another thing I was thinking about was, this is the Everyday Crystal Rituals book that Naha Armandi did. I want to start kind of going through this and like kind of incorporating the crystals I have into my practice again. I feel like a lot of times anymore, they just are pretty shelf things. They're just decoration. And I have been really wanting to do more of that. I have like enough knowledge about crystals to get myself in trouble, but I feel like this could be a really cool way to, again, incorporate them into my life. I have a deck that I'm going to be able to also use with, which I think is really fun. I love this deck. You know, I like to pick my crystal of the day with this and kind of do that vibe. On the back, it has more information. Like I can even have like a little affirmation or a plant match with it. And I think that it is really, really just, again, another bite-sized, easy way to incorporate something that I already love, that I already do, and like cards and crystals, but like taking it a little deeper, learning a little more. But I think, again, little easy steps of learning, nothing too, oh, I forgot to put these cards back in, nothing too crazy. There might be a time where I go and like deep dive in and try to increase that knowledge even more. But right now, I just want the basics. So that is a big set of learning. If I get any of it, if I accomplish anything, I'll be happy. It's not like a real pressured, like I have to learn, or like I don't want to put that kind of weight on it. I want it to be fun. I want to follow what feels fun. So maybe halfway through the year I change my mind and I do something completely different. That is very me. That's very me to do. So practice things that I want to either continue or like start working on, get back to, recommit to, what have you. Last year, I didn't do a ton of learning, but I did try something new, which was journaling with my decks. I've at points like wrote down like my daily pulls, but I've never done like a true journal. And this has been really beautiful and really fun. I've done different things with it. I've made it, I don't know. I really loved this and I want to keep doing it. I would be very, very sad if I stopped, because it is one of my favorite things I do with my cards anymore. So I want to recommit to continuing to journal because it already feels good. I also want to get back into, speaking of journaling, I want to get back into my monthly polls. Last year, the first 6 months, I did a really good job at keeping up with that. You guys know life got difficult, life got distracting, and I kind of fell out of it, but I do want to get back to it. I actually did my January one, and it's a good way for me to start rotating these decks too. So a little more consistent doing daily card pulls. I think that having the consistent, whether it's like the theme or kind of intention for the day, or if it's a reflection in the evening, kind of what energy do I want to embody, even if it's me pulling a crystal or like a color energy, like something, just doing something bite-sized every day just to keep me coming back. I think that I don't want to just come to my cards when something's wrong and make it this thing that feels heavy. I want it to feel light and fun, and I want it to feel like I'm using it to like, again, the everyday, like incorporating it into my life more. So I'm not gonna give myself a hard time about it, but I have like my little journal or something. I don't know why I've never done it. I probably would have used way more of my planners if I had. I'm really bad about getting a planner and using it as a monthly planner, but I buy a weekly because I always have intentions of doing more. I never do. But I have a planner. I wrote my year ahead, like in the months. I wrote like what card was for each as like my theme of the month, but I might do like daily, weekly, something in there where I'm like pulling for the energy of the week. I thought about keeping track of kind of my when I'm following the moon, the signs, like what planet's in where, you know, when I start adding that, I thought this would be a cool place to put it. And also, so I don't waste most of it. I actually never waste it. What I usually do is when I get a planner and I don't use all the pages, I give it to my son and he just colors in it. And he thinks he's like, you know, he plans his time out. So it's never completely wasted, but I want to make some good use of my planner this year. And not just as like, I have my appointments in it, but I've seen a lot of people on here using it as like a place to pull their cards, and it makes so much sense. I don't know why. It's like A plus B just didn't equal C to me. I don't know. I have a big old journal here. This I actually really started. This was years ago, but I started taking notes. This is like anatomy of a spell. And it like goes through like different phases, times of year, days of the week, what those mean, colors, whether times of day, herbs, crystals, essential oils, the planets. Kind of, this is where I started doing some astrology stuff. The different houses and zodiac signs. I really just tried to take notes. And I did a really good job taking notes, and then it just kind of stopped. So I did this a little while, and I also took some notes. Crystal the Oracle did some like, what is it? The Laws of the Universe. I have some notes on that too. I kind of just want to, my son's getting off the bus today. His dad's getting him off the bus, and I'm watching them to make sure all is well. It's very snowy outside right now. Oh, he's so cute. I'm so excited to see him. Okay, I'm going to focus. I'm going to focus. I just saw him earlier. It's okay. I just get really excited to see him. So those are things that I want to do with my practice. And one last thing I want to do with my practice is I want to keep up my altar. At the beginning of the year, again, I did like a beautiful one for the beginning of the year. I did another great one for the spring. I missed out on the rest until I did a ancestor altar towards the end of the year this year, and I really enjoyed that. So I want to keep refreshing that altar. I can use and I can add to it. It's like I can use and put like crystals intentionally on there, which I already did anyways, but like again, kind of interweaving like and having my cards be a part of it too. And I don't know, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be good. I really do enjoy keeping an altar. I also need to refresh my crystal grid, so put that on the planner. Next, we're gonna go over the decks. So I have here, we'll start with decks that are new that I'm just excited to spend some time with. So actually the newest one, we have the Bad Girl Oracle. This one is not completely inappropriate, but a little, so we'll be mindful here. But I think this one's just going to be a fun one. And that's why I got it, because I wanted to have a little fun. I have seen it before and just really liked it. I thought, and I think it's going to be, I thought it would be a cool one to use with Help Grow Yourself. I don't know, like the vibes just felt like they would be cool. But this is just like a new addition, lighthearted. We'll skip that one. This is kind of, this reminds me of like the archetype vibe, but this is in like this is in like a fun way. I really think, oh, hold on, I love the alien. I really love the art. It's just so good. I love the alien, it's fun. But I am going to get acquainted. This is like brand new in the shop and in my collection. I've talked to the creator, and they're going to be reprinting the tarot as well. And that's something I'm waiting on. And in the time being, I thought I'd get the Oracle and we'd get acquainted. Next, we have the Botan. This is a deck that I really wanted for quite some time, and I finally got last year, and just unfortunately the time lined up where I was getting it as things were really hard and heavy with my dad, and also I was very busy in the shop because I was part of the distribution process of this deck. So I got some wholesale in, And then I didn't think I was going to get any more, but I ended up getting another restock to kind of help the creator move them, because they had like a lot going on as well. And I just wanted to, it was a really fun project, but it was the most decks I've ever sold in my life. And it was just, I was very busy. So I haven't got to spend a ton of time, and I'm really itching to. I think this deck is just like ethereal and beautiful in this way that feels like, I don't know. Oh gosh, this sun card. Can we just appreciate how absolutely artistry here is 10 out of 10. I think it is such a soft and magical feel, and I love the energy. I really am excited to use it. I have not, though, spent enough time with it, and that's a deck I'm excited to get into this year. One that I have talked about just recently, the Legend of Zelda Tarot. I went on a spiel about this. I will try, so if you heard the spiel, I'm sorry. I really was excited to get this deck. I'll actually put this down, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I was really excited to get this deck because I had a previous Legend of Zelda Tarot that just didn't feel like a good fit. Some of the cards felt like they were like in an aesthetic choice instead of like relative to the Legend of Zelda universe and like the lore. And it just didn't feel good. And I got this because, honestly, because I saw Maureen have it and I really wanted it. It was out of print for a little bit, but as soon as she said I think shared that the Kickstarter was back, I ended up immediately backing it, and it's here and I love it. It's so colorful. It feels so good. And I think that so far so good on the cards I've pulled and it making sense. I pulled a card, actually. This was the Chariot. This is the card I was really excited about because I feel like there's an easy Chariot choice, and especially like literally legendary horses is kind of the vibe. But it's not Epona. It's literally the glider, which felt so cool. I don't remember what the actual guidebook says about it. Let's read. The guidebook is very small, like little bitsies. But I'm trying to at least. The Chariot, you now have a much faster way of getting around. Whatever you do, just don't let go. So that's fun. That's a fun meaning. But the download I got from this felt really cool because the Chariot feels really different to me normally. There was an addition of something. So to get from one place to another, you have to move. Make sure you have a good vantage point on where you want to go. That, like, the idea of like climbing up to get where I'm trying to go, like making sure I'm in the right place and like looking for where I'm trying to get to was a cool idea because like Chariot is always that movement, but this felt like just like a little shift that, like, if this wasn't the choice, I wouldn't have thought of that. So I thought that was a really exciting pull. I really, 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 really love the coloring. I love the art. It feels like such a good vibe. I just recently shared this as well. This is one of the brand new decks that I've gotten. I think I'm going to get it in the shop too because I'm really spitting with it. This is kind of a little towards the learning. I know a little bit about numerology, just kind of like you know a little bit about this and that from reading cards. It's like I've learned a little bit of things without having to really study them in their whole. Just from reading, it's like you kind of know when you're going through the different like minors, like you kind of have to pay attention to the numbers. But this, I think, is we're going to get in a little deeper. I love to throw decks on the ground, obviously. I love the whole setup of this. This is a really thought out, as always, it's like fully the collection of it. But you just focus on the numbers, and like there are I don't know how many cards for each number. I'm going to be real with you. I don't know yet. I just got the deck. But I do have a guidebook. I do have a guidebook here. And it is an actual, like, journal almost kind of book. And it looks like somebody's journal. I love that. I love the writing of it. But let's actually look. How many twos do we have? Okay. So here's like the first page on 2, on the number 2. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that it? Okay. So there's 6 different 2 cards in here. And I'm excited to know like what that means, what that comes to. But I think this will be a fun little way to focus on some numerology. It's like nothing I want to go too crazy on, but this feels like this, again, taking something I need to know and making it cards. The numerology oracle cards. But yeah, she's beautiful. But yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is, Prisma Visions in general is just so good at doing, like James is so good at seeing the project and like making it a whole thing. The Green Glyph collection, you know, that's like, I will never stop talking about how thought out and like cohesive the whole collection is. It's so good. I said what I said. Next, actually, I'll do this first. Next, I have 2 decks that, one, I used more than the other, but I want to dive deeper into them. So, where are you? Where are you at? Why can't I open you right now? This is my first day. The Journey Tarot is, first off, one of the most beautiful decks I've ever seen in my whole life. But it is also one of the decks that feel really unique to its choices. Like sometimes you get a clone of a clone of a clone. It's like it might look different, but it's the same. This feels really different. So I want to maybe do like a deep dive here and kind of figure out what the story is for these cards. Like, what does it mean? Because it's not like I can't just take the meaning like I normally would. Like, there's layers to this. There's actually Lisa, I believe, did a video on this. And I want to rewatch that video, but it was like making note of some of these things that are just, there's something different about it. And I think that reading this deck, I can't just read it as like the magician isn't just the magician here in like its average sense. It feels like there's more going on. Cards are different. The scenes are different. Like even the minors feel really different. And it's just a deck that I want to spend more time getting to know in that deep sense. Terra Volatile. I started out the year strong with this, fell off, but last year, but it is a deck that I want to kind of recommit to. Also, another deck that feels like there's more here. There's also a ton of extra cards in this deck. I want to figure out, do I want to keep them all? Do I want to choose between them? Because like this deck feels just a little more complex than your average Yogi Bear. And I also really just love it, and I'm excited to spend more time with it, if I'm going to be honest with you. This is the deck I picked for my January. I'm going to probably do it for the whole first quarter, and then I'll just pair it with something different every month. But I'm going to use it as probably my first quarter deck for my month aheads. And so this month I paired it with Poesis, which was a dream. I'm thinking of either seeing if one of these next ones will work as a pair, because I have 4 decks here that I did not spend the time with that I wish I would have. These decks are ones I just want to make time for. These are not on the chopping block. These are decks I just want to make time for. So Death Doula. The year before, so 2023, this was my most used deck of the year and my standout deck of the year. And it was just all over. It was the it factor. It is the it factor. But I got a lot of decks this year that I was spending time with, and it just got kind of put behind because I spent so much time with it the year before. I want to come back because it's one of my favorite decks, and I just really love it. I really love it, and I want some more of it. I tried so hard, but you know what I mean? This is another deck that does that kind of spell vibe. It does like guided meditation spells and things in this little guidebook. Not every card, but most cards have something with it. An exercise of some sort, or like a journal prompt, a spread. We have just a bunch of different things in here, and I think that will be another way to start incorporating that kind of like everyday ritual vibe, like spells, guided meditation, just doing more practicing in my practice. So this is a deck that I really want to spend some more time with. The Hollow Valley deck of symbols. I love this little deck. It is beautiful. It's out of print, sorry. I do really, really enjoy it, but I don't use it enough. I never have really used it enough. I had somebody who really, really wanted the Hollow Valley Tarot, and it was out of print, and I ended up giving it to them because I really loved them. And so when I got rid of the tarot, I kind of stopped using the Oracle just because it was like a very obvious pair. It was like perfect. So now I feel like I have this without the other. I just need to make time for it though. Even if this is something I do to like pull a little symbol for the day, pull a little color for the day, what have you, and just make this something like I do more regularly, kind of biting off some of the symbol. Like there's learning to be done here in this symbol deck. Something I always thought was really cool idea is learning more about the symbols themselves, because the book, hold on, let me get the book. It's a goodie too. The book has things, like it's a good little bit, but it will have like different parts in it, like the little symbols in it and kind of what they represent. And it would be cool to use kind of the knowledge from here. And like when I see these symbols in a deck or something, like having that little add-on of like, you know what, I wonder what this card, like looking at that card, looking at what the symbol in it means, and I don't know, just kind of it feels exciting. And also, again, I really do like this deck. I just want to use it more. This one's giving me a hard time. Stunning. This one's a hard one. Okay, so this is from the same creator as the Jonasa Jaus Tarot. Jonasa. This is the Stunning Tarot, and this is actually a deck that Maureen really loves. Speaking of the VR we're doing, this is a deck that she really loves, and I had the original copy of this. I had the first edition probably about 6 years ago. Maybe 5 years ago. Regardless, I had the first edition when it first came out, and I ended up getting rid of it. I passed it along, and I wish I hadn't. So I got it again. I got it in this little tiny form, which felt fun. One of the complaints with the old edition was it was just too big for my hands, and it was like Oracle sized, and I didn't like that. And so I got it in the new edition, and it was smaller. It's not the newest edition anymore, but I haven't used it. Probably for the same reason I got rid of it in the first place, but I have not committed any time to it. I feel like it is really different, which is probably one of the reasons that I have a hard time, because it doesn't have a guidebook, and also it feels like really different in its choices a lot of the times, and I kind of feel like a disconnect there. I don't know. this card even just feels, it just feels different. And I guess I don't know where to go sometimes. It feels like there are times where I just don't, I just don't understand. I don't understand, you know? I just don't have anything to go off of here. And so then I have to like think, it's like, okay, 7 of Pentacles. And then like, then it makes it like kind of definition heady instead of how I like to read, which is more, I like to like read the image. That's why I'm a scenic kind of gal. I do not like pips for that reason, because I just kind of recalling information feels too in my head. Like I'm using, it's almost like doing flashcards, and how I like to read isn't in my head. I like to read like in my body and like that kind of intuitive download vibe. And when I get too in my head, it's like blocks off everything. And I feel like that's what happens with this deck. I need to figure that out. Another deck that I need to use. This little booger. This deck's so cute. This is the Mini Mice Tarot. And it is just the sweetest, cutest little babe. What I will say, it's so little that it very frequently gets lost on the shelf. Like it just falls behind another deck or gets like kind of pushed back. And that's one of the reasons that I don't use it as much, because it's so stinking cute. This is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. She's a little mouse. Just look at him. Just look at him. He's so cute. That's all I have to say. Maybe I'll like carry this one with me. It's small enough. I carry it anywhere. Mini Mice Tarot. And last, the decks that use it or lose it, bub. On the chopping block, whatever have you. We'll go to the first one, because it's the most obvious one. If I don't even show it to you, you'll know which deck I'm going to pull out. This feels like the deck that won't die. Like this, I can't seem to get rid of it, but I can't use it either. I talked about this in my end of year tarot tag and probably every single declutter I've ever done. The Guidance of the Goddess, again, is not its current name. I don't remember what that is. Someone usually comments and tells me I need to keep this deck. I just don't use it though, and it is beautiful. I think this deck is beautiful. I love a black matte background with these like almost chalkish, not chalk, I don't know how to explain it. But with it being on the black background, it does kind of feel a little chalky. But I think it's beautiful. I think it's a well done deck. It probably reads really well too if you use it. I just don't use it. I don't use it. I'm not drawn to use it. And that's part of it, is I don't use goddess decks. I don't connect really well with mythology based things because I don't know anything. I don't know anything about mythology. So how would I, have any sort of connection to that? One, maybe if I spent some time like reading some mythology based stuff, that could be fun. That could be a real like way in. Maybe that's what I do one day. But for now, it just takes up space. And I've even tried to make myself use it, and it just doesn't happen. So I don't know what to do there. I thought maybe if I had a deck that paired well with it, I would use it. I remember finding a really good pairing for it. Still didn't use it. I always like say like something's gonna happen and I'll use it. I just don't. It's not gonna happen. Now, another deck that I have talked about, that this one I'm really surprised that we're not working together very well. One, because so many people I know love this deck that I also, like, we share tastes. This deck, though, actually, these cards are perfect example. You barely can tell them apart. And for the intuitive read, that matters to me. Now, obviously, this is not your average deck that has its traditional kind of meanings. So I have to go to the guidebook, or I have to use the kind of just like flashcard meanings that I have in my head. The art is beautiful. I will say that. Like, I love the art of this deck, and that alone, like, I might just keep it, and maybe I'll do like some funky like collage vibe with it, like put it in a frame and like collage them together, because I really do. It's just weird in the way that I like it. But when I pull a card, so where's the, let's do the Ace of Pentacles, because this was like one of the two cards that looked really similar. So I could obviously use my base knowledge for the Ace of Pentacles, so don't get mad at me. I know that I can do that. But I wanted to kind of know, like, what's the difference between the two, because they're both like plants coming out of the hand or wrist. So we have the red clover. The earth will always foster new opportunities. I love that. Here's where I think is like my normal problem is, okay, so red clover is a perennial plant native to Europe, Northwest Africa, and Eastern Asia. Although it is short-lived, its deep taproot makes it hardy towards mowing and foot traffic. Aside from being a pleasant ornamental plant, red clover is great for livestock by being a loaded source of protein, phosphorus, and calcium. It's also used as a green manure crop by adding nitrogen and increasing soil fertility. The industrious nature of this humble plant is the foundational beginning of potentially prosperous opportunity. I feel like that last sentence is the only thing that kind of brings me back to what I'm doing, which is a reading. I feel like there's a lot of really cool information in there, and I think that is important. I love those kind of things. But for how small of a guidebook this is, and how, like, to have that much dense information, I feel like that should be a paragraph in a larger, like, paragraphs, or maybe even just like 2 paragraphs. Like, here's this information about this plant, here's how that pertains to like a reading. A deck that does that really well is like Energy Archaeology. It has kind of that like information dense bit, but also it will have like what that means to you. It has journal prompts. It has like, it brings it back to feeling not just like I'm learning something, but giving it some kind of divinational feel. And I feel like that happens a lot. And there's even one in particular that I got that didn't even feel like it did that. It didn't even feel like I came back from like just learning about the plant. And maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to make this deck completely like a plant focus. Like, I pull this when I want to plant. You know what I mean? Maybe that would work. That could be a way to, because I think what I am is expecting to do a reading with this in like a different way than it's wanting to do. So maybe I need to change what I'm wanting from it. So maybe I can use this as like some plant magic to add to my, and then last. This one makes me sad because Shewolfe is a deck that I have historically really enjoyed. I'm not going to be able to show you like a ton, but the reason I don't use this is completely me. This is one of my favorite Sun cards. I just think it's so beautiful. I think it's so beautiful. I have just my own personal life has kind of gotten in the way of this, and I don't know if I just hold on to it until that stops, or if I get rid of it. As it stands right now, this deck just makes me feel sad. And it just reminds me of a time that I don't want to remember. I don't want to think about. It's not like I'm trying to like run away from it, but like, how am I supposed to focus on like doing a reading when all I can think about is like something that doesn't pertain to it? And it just makes it like a yucky thing. And I hope that, you know, I can separate it, but I think healing takes time. I think there's a lot that needs to happen in my brain, heart, and soul before that, and I just don't know if we're gonna get there in a good. Now, a Shewolfe is one that I would hold on and wait for, and I have. It's been a couple years of me holding on, and I mean, we're getting better every day, but I think that's it, guys. That was that was a lot, and probably the deck that I'm most excited about using this year. I won't show it to you, but you know what it is. You know what it is if you watched my recent videos. I'm really excited. I don't know. That is probably the deck I'm most excited about to use this year. The deck I'm most excited that's coming out this year. Let me think about that. I don't know when it's going to happen. I can't remember, but my Serpentfire is the deck I'm most excited to get this year. I know that at some point this year it has to be, because it was like the end of last year was Kickstarter. Usually it takes like a year, I feel like, but it's probably the deck I'm most excited about getting for the first time. Reclaim will also be back, which I have Reclaim, but I'm really excited for everyone else for that. But yeah, I hope that was fun, and I hope you share with me your kind of plans. Do you have anything you want to learn this year? What deck are you most excited about this year? What deck are you least excited about? I don't know. Just tell me things. I love you.